Luca, Veronica, welcome. Veronica, to you first. Climate finance seems to be high on the agenda here at COP28. To your mind, is there increased commitment, global commitment and investments in A&R?
Absolutely. This is the COP where financing for adaptation and resilience is scaling up and is really one of the top issues. We know there's a huge gap. Over $200 billion is needed. That's just for emerging markets, even more globally. But we, at BCG, we see this not just as a gap, but as a major opportunity. We see major opportunities for financing business resilience, and we also see some really exciting opportunities to back the companies that are bringing forth bold and innovative solutions that will create resilience.
Luca, talk to me, if you would, about blended finance. What role does that have to play?
Yeah, I mean, if we really want to fill this $200 billion gap, we need institutional investors. And unfortunately, until now, institutional investors had a perception, not necessarily real, but a perception of risk that very often doesn't make them investing in climate adaptation. So blended finance try to address exactly this issue and this roadblock by mixing some of more patient and risk-taking but impact-seeking capital together with more private and institutional money. Taking risk off the table so that basically institutional investor can come in and deploy the billions that we really need.
Is there more confidence around this solution? You said investors were a bit nervous about that kind of investing. They feel happier with this?
Absolutely. So I have myself built a couple of different blended finance structure, and I've witnessed the tremendous potential that it has. Just to give you a quick example, in 2019 we launched a 120 million euro vehicle focused on climate adaptation for agriculture and also focused on agricultural productivity. And with only 10 million euros of first loss from the European Commission, we managed to raise 90 million euros from large institutional investors in only 6 months. So that really helped addressing that kind of perceived risk. And the good thing is that once you do that, you demonstrate that the risk is not real, but it's perceived. Next time, you'll probably be able to reduce that kind of first loss.
Fantastic. Veronica, is that what you're hearing from investors?
Absolutely. So I'm seeing two key trends. One is that investors are waking up to adaptation. You know, Luca, you've been one of the early front runners. You've shown the way, and more now I think are following in your footsteps. For example, we're seeing the launch here at COP of a new taxonomy. That means definitions of what is an investment, what types of companies are actually shown to contribute to resilience. We're also seeing new capabilities being built, not just in adaptation finance, but also blended finance. Just about every large investor that we are speaking with are building up their team's capabilities to do these more creative, innovative structures, Luca, the type that you've really pioneered.
Luca, talk to me about collaboration. Where are the opportunities, the complexities of that? How important is it?
The issue with blended finance is you bring in different actors that do have different kind of objectives, right? So you have the public investors, development financial institutions that really focus on the impact, and then you bring in private investors really focus on the returns. So here there are few lessons learned on how to make it work and to how untangle this complexity. The key word is transparency. So we need to be very clear since the beginning on what the objectives are. Again, which impacts we expect to achieve and what kind of financial returns the investors need to mobilize their capital. Second learning is that typically blended finance, in my experience, works better if you focus on very specific social or environmental objectives. And you build theory of change and then investment strategy around a very specific issues that you try to solve. If you have a very generalist kind of investment fund, it doesn't work as well because you're not able to pinpoint the kind of KPIs, the kind of metrics that you really want and the kind of impact that you really want to achieve. And the third point, which is very important, is aligning incentives. And I give you a very specific example. In the fund, Uruma fund, as I just mentioned before, our carried interest is actually tied not only to the amount of financial returns that we're achieving, but is also tied to the social and environmental impact that we'll be able to achieve. So that somehow, again, needs to align the incentives on both the environmental and social impact, as well as in the financial return.
Fantastic. Luca, Veronica, thank you so much.